Back on record, State versus Davis, C-377-407. Looks like we have the jury lined up. Anything we need to address before we bring them in?
Not from the state.
Mr. Stamp?
Yeah, we do have one request of the court. I
Okay.
understand that the state will be putting on a witness that actually has a medical appointment back in California tomorrow.
Okay.
And so as a result, I would like to be able to do my cross after they present all of their direct evidence, which would include the recording that will be played with regards to an interview with Mr. Davis. But I'd like to do that at the end instead of in the middle like we did yesterday or the other day with Detective Miller. There were questions I wanted to ask Detective Miller that I just couldn't do after the recording had been played. And so I understand that this Detective Dupree, would be in California tomorrow for the appointment. I just would...
So you would rather, so you understand that he's going to be back in California, but you still want to do it via Zoom?
Sure, yeah, because I don't want to miss the disappointment on...
So no objection to him doing it via Zoom, but you want the state to present all of the information that they're presenting through him, and then you do your cross?
Yes.
Okay. I think we can accommodate that, right, State?
Well, I mean, there is approximately 5 hours worth of recordings with him. Once it's into evidence, our choice to play it, whether he's on the stand or not, is when we decide to play it during the trial. I explained to Detective Dupree that I plan to do my direct and his cross-examination today because I knew that he had to be out of here.
Okay.
I don't think he'd be opposed to subject to recall with Mr. Sept if he wants to go and would come back on by Zoom, but I am opposed to the idea that they're going to control the way we present our evidence. We'll do direct, we'll do cross. If there's anything he wants to additionally have from Detective Dupree, I don't think that he would necessarily be opposed to getting on a Zoom in his case.
All right. Do you guys want to talk to him real quick to see if he can be recalled? If there's something that needs to be done after everything's presented?
Okay, I just want to clarify. I heard the state basically say that they don't want me to dictate how they want to present the case. I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm just saying...
You're not stipulating that they can play it outside.
Look, I mean,
with the
this
other
is a matter of professional courtesy. I would definitely allow him to go back to California to do what he's doing. But he's on the stand. Technically, he's not supposed to be released until after the court releases him from the subpoena. And so as a result, if you want to play that game, then I would want him to stay here overnight so he can at least be cross-examined by me. I just was trying to be nice about it by doing it the other way, but it seems now like I have to recall this person. I don't trust that he wouldn't disappear in the wind. I don't care if he's a detective. Like, in my opinion, I've got a problem with that.
Well, yeah, but once a piece of evidence is admitted, it's our choice as to when to play it and how to play it. And so, like, I'm not getting dictated how we do that. If he's done with cross, if he's going to delay cross and keep him on the stand long enough, he's free to play it during this cross-examination if he wants to. Once a piece of evidence is admitted, it's admitted, right?
Right.
So I'm
so
going to lay
if you're
the
going to
foundation.
have him verify it and then not play it until closings or something, that's your prerogative.
Or I could just, on Friday decide we're going to play, because we have hours and hours and hours of audio to play, and just having somebody sitting on the stand for audio is not necessary.
Okay.
I can present it in any manner I want to. It just doesn't require the witness to be here to listen to it.
And
once
so it
it's
sounds
admitted.
like what Mr. Stamp is saying is he has no objection to you doing your direct and then playing it without him being here, and then he would like to do his cross tomorrow. So I was just going to see if...
I just don't think we'll be through it by tomorrow. I think it may be, because we have a witness coming tomorrow, so we may be breaking up 2008 and then later on playing 2009. So I don't know when that's going to happen in our presentation of the evidence.
I understand that.
It's kind of the issue that we're having because we're really juggling a lot of out-of-state witnesses because nobody was in Vegas when this crime occurred.
So, Mr. Stamp, what I'll do is after you listen to, when the state is done with their direct, and they've admitted what they want to admit and they say that they're done, I'll turn to you and you can let me know if you want to cross-examine now or if you want to ultimately recall him on your own for your presentation. And if, well...
There's a little bit of a regret with regards to Detective Miller, and I do understand there were some audio-visual problems with his connection, right, in terms of his... There were questions that I look back and listening to this video or this audio that I should have asked him that I didn't ask him. I do not want to fall into that same regret with regards to Detective Dupree. So I just know that there will be questions.
Do you want me to ask then? I was just trying to get somebody to figure out if he would be available at a later time for recall. That's all I'm trying to do at this point, so that I can see what my options are.
I'd be happy to go out and talk. I think he's in the back.
So if you guys want to talk to him and see if he has a time afterwards, I understand your concern. I understand your point that we can just admit it and play it at closings, essentially. We don't, once something's admitted, you can play it whenever you want. That is true. You also may have questions that get formulated after the item is presented. So let's see if there's a possibility for him to be recalled at all at any point. I have no problem with doing that, but I don't know if he's available.
Yes, ma'am.
So go check with him, and then we can come up with a plan.
Detective Dupree has agreed to be available Friday morning.
Okay.
If Mr. Sant has any additional questions by way of Zoom, we figure by then we'll be through the two statements.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. All right, perfect. So looks like that's been resolved. Anything else we need to address outside the presence?
Not from the state.
All right, let's bring the jury in.
Stand for the jury.
Do the parties stipulate to the presence of the jury?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you may be seated. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for accommodating me as we started a little bit later. I appreciate your time. At this time, we are still in the state's case in chief. Who's your next witness, Mr.
Wade Lee.
Okay.
You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this section shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
You may be seated. May I please have you state and spell your first and last name for the record?
My name is Wade Lee, W-A-D-E-L-E-E.
Thank you, Mr. Lee, for being here. Mr. DiGiacomo, whenever you're ready, you may proceed.
Thank you. Let me just get the clerk the next thing in order. I know we're kind of messed up, but excellent. Sir, back in the 90s, how were you employed?
I was a special agent with the FBI,
How long were you with the FBI?
25 years.
And when did you start?
May of 1996.
May of 1996?
Yes.
You haven't been retired that long, actually.
5 years.
I want to direct your attention to the 1997, 1998 time period. What was your assignment? What were you doing for the FBI at that time?
I was assigned to a squad that was working the State Streets Task Force. I was on basically the Violent Crimes Major Offenders program, working gangs in South Central LA.
And you said Project Safe Street, and that's a federal task force that has multi-agency people on it?
Yes, that's correct. The way it was generally organized, there were several squads in LA, the LA division of the FBI, that were assigned to different regions of the area, the territories. My squad was assigned to the Watts area of Los Angeles, South Central.
And as part of your duties, did you have a partner by the name of Agent Holiday?
Yeah, Todd Holliday, yes.
Did there come a point in time when the two of you, along with other members of your squad, begin an investigation into a criminal street gang by the name of Grape Street?
Yes, it
Can you
was
explain to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what Grape Street is?
Grape Street. The Grape Street Crips was a large gang organization that operated out of the Jordan Downs housing projects in Watts. It was basically believed to be the largest Crip set in all of our squad was working the violent aspects and drug dealing aspects of that organization.
As part of your investigation into Grape Street, did you come across a person that you identified as Duane Davis?
Yes.
And do you see Mr. Davis here in court today?
Yes, I do.
Can you point him out and describe something he's wearing?
It's the gentleman sitting in the at the defendant's table with the blue shirt and tie.
And how is it that you came across Mr. Davis?
During the course of our investigation with Grape Street, when you're looking at the organization, there was numerous techniques that we used for investigating, whether it was informants, wiretaps, surveillance, active interviews, and things of that nature. During the course of that interview, Mr. Davis kind of came under the umbrella under the course of our investigation of one of his associate family members by the individual of the name Rodney Blackman.
And did Rodney have a nickname?
Speedy.
During the time period that you're doing this investigation, well, let me ask you this. As part of Project Safe Streets, as well as being assigned the Watts area, were you aware of the various gang sets and their location?
Yeah, I mean, while our squad was working that investigation on Grape Street, you always would have crossover in other areas. For example, in Watts, there were 3 main housing project areas. Each of them you had fairly prominent gang organizations, as well as gangs that came up from the Compton area and other parts of South Central Los Angeles. So there was usually crossover, whether it's from drug activity or other sort of gang violence, things like that.
And you mentioned one of them, the Jordan Downs.
Yes.
What type of housing, what type of gang activity was going on in the Jordan Downs?
So Grape Street Crips operated out of Jordan Downs housing projects, and they basically controlled that whole housing project as far as the drug trafficking, violent activity, and things of that nature.
If somebody were hiding out from blood gang members hunting him, and he was a Crip, obviously, would it be safe for him to be inside the Jordan Downs?
Yeah, from other rival gangs and things of that nature, yes, generally speaking.
You mentioned that Mr. Davis had a cousin, I'm going to call Speedy. At some point, do you wind up learning information that allows you to arrest Mr. Davis for some criminal offenses?
Yes, we were part of our investigation while we were up on Mr. Blackman. There was a period of time when Mr. Davis actually was staying with Blackman. It was actually after the Tupac Shakur murder. During the course of our investigation of the Grape Street Crips and of Blackman and things like that, we were able to obtain information and evidence to develop a case against Mr. Davis.
And can you just describe the general allegations of the case?
It was drug trafficking, 2 kilos. He was indicted and arrested for selling 2 kilos of cocaine.
And the type of evidence you had against Mr. Davis, what was it?
Most of it was telephone conversation intercepts from wiretaps, court-authorized wiretaps.
And based upon the charges, ultimately, do you indict Mr. Davis for some crimes related to drug trafficking?
Yes, he was indicted, arrested, and then eventually pled guilty.
The type of sentence Mr. Davis was facing when he was indicted, what kind of ranges are we talking for those kind of charges?
I believe it was around somewhere in the nature of 10 years initially, but it varies depending on individuals' prior criminal history, whether they were felony convictions, drug trafficking offenses, and things of that nature. It also varies depending on the type of drug that the individual might have been accused of trafficking. Back then, and at that time period, the federal sentencing guidelines, there was a difference in sentencing for rock cocaine, crack cocaine versus regular powder cocaine and things of that nature. And he was indicted for trafficking 2 kilos of powder cocaine.
As part of that investigation, does there come a point in time when you do what's known as a proffer with Mr. Davis?
Yes, we did.
And describe for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what a proffer is.
So a proffer interview session would be, it's usually considered, it's a fairly common practice, particularly in the federal criminal justice system, where we have an individual who's been indicted and arrested, and it sort of is the beginning of a negotiation for a plea agreement, if you will. What we do is the U.S. Attorney's Office, the defendant's attorney, they all agree that to conducting an interview with the FBI. The terms of that agreement are such that the defendant has to be open and candor, tell the truth regarding the questions that we ask him. In return, the FBI, Department of Justice, will not use what the defendant says in that proffer session against him in this case, in chief that we have him charged with. There's a couple little caveats. One being that if during trial the defendant goes on to make statements that contradict what he said in that proffer session, at that point it violates it, and we can use his statements against him. Those are generally in nature. And then we agree to keep the nature of the interview confidential.
All right, Mr. Duffman, you may proceed.
When you had your 1998 proffer with Mr. Davis, well, first of all, were you by yourself, or did you have your partner Todd Holliday with you?
Todd Holliday attended, as well as Assistant United States Attorney, along with the attorney for Mr. Davis, who were also there.
And what was his name?
If I refer to by.
Well, I have what's marked as State Proposed Exhibit 46. I know you got a copy
Okay.
there.
That's fine.
How about we use the one that I have
Sure.
marked, and I'll take these back from you.
Would reviewing those notes refresh your recollection as to the name of his attorney?
Yes, Edie Fall.
Okay, after reviewing that, has your recollection been refreshed?
Oh, yes. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
And it's Edie Fall?
Yes.
Understood. You may proceed.
First of all, let me ask this. Up until you were contacted sometime this year, have you maintained the confidentiality of this conversation that you have with Mr. Davis?
Yes.
And as far as you're aware, your partner Todd Holliday also maintained the confidentiality of it.
Yes, as far as I know.
And before you hit the stand today, or sometime last week or the week before, or at some point, the United States or the U.S. Attorney's Office issued a letter authorizing you to testify to these two conversations you had with Mr. Davis.
Yes, referring to the TUI letter, yes.
And that's a requirement that state prosecutors have to get permission from the federal government to allow you as an agent or former agent to testify to actions you took in your official capacity as a federal law enforcement officer.
Yes, regarding those two interviews, yes.
How is your proffer with Mr. Davis documented?
Usually, we use the standard FBI reporting mechanism, which is a FD 302 report.
And that is essentially a report that lays out the information you received. There's no audio recording of that particular conversation.
That's correct.
And is there a FBI 302 of what's in front of you? And I forgot the number. Is it 146?
146.
146, is that a fair and accurate copy of the description of the conversation that you were a part of with Mr. Davis on July 16th of 1998?
Yes, it is.
Move to admit 146. Nine.
No objection.
So admitted.
Now, I'm not going to have you go through everything that was in there, but what is your purpose in talking to Mr. Davis in the proffer session?
Well, the purpose is to glean as much information as we can regarding what he knew or knew at the time regarding gang, drug, violent activity going on within the Watts and Compton areas.
Were you investigating directly, at least, the Tupac Shakur murder?
Not directly, like it wasn't, we weren't assigned, we were working our normal gang activity investigations. However, it was known to us that he was a person of interest, Mr. Davis was a person of interest regarding that homicide.
And so during this proffer session, you asked him questions about that as well?
Yes, we did.
I'm going to go through 146 in front of you, and actually I can roll it up here on the screen for you. Oh. Well, it would help if I plugged the computer in. So that's what the front page of this 302 says. Is confidential and has the date and a description of who the people that are present for this particular proffer are.
That's correct.
The very first part of the interview, and let's close that. There, you have a discussion with Mr. Davis about an individual called Zip. Tell us what he tells you about this individual Zip initially.
Initially, that Zip was an individual from New York who was a pimp who controlled girls, numerous girls, sold marijuana. He did just mention that Zip was involved in PCP trafficking, and that Davis at one point arranged for an individual by the name of Patrick Bernard to give Zip some PCP. So Zip came from New York to LA to conduct the transaction.
And did he also mention how he met Zip?
Yes, he said he met Zip at a baseball game somewhere in approximately 1993 or 94. There was an individual named Fats who was also at the game that introduced Davis to Zip. And
then he talks to you a little bit about who Fats is.
Yeah, Fats was a large cocaine supplier who operated in the west side of LA. He was also known as Flint. Davis associated with Fats prior to 1994, up until basically the time, I guess, where Fats was arrested and taken into federal custody.
Let's skip past some Fats. There's a part of this conversation, a person by the name of Wayne Day comes up. Do you know who Wayne Day is?
Yes, Wayne Day was actually arrested by the squad that I worked on, the Safe Street Task Force. He was a large-scale drug dealer, drug trafficker in the Watts area of Compton with Grape Street Crips.
And does Davis describe his relationship as it relates to Mr. Day?
Yes, there was. He mentioned that they were related. That Davis had an uncle who was the uncle of Wayne Day. That's how he described it.
And then there's a conversation in this next paragraph where Mr. Davis makes mention of Mr. Day having Compton sewn up. What does sewn up mean?
Well, in terms of having control of all the drug trafficking in that specific area, and actually, there was mention, agents mentioned to him, it said that Wayne Day had Compton sewn up, and Mr. Davis said actually that he had part of Compton sewn up, that he didn't have the South Side part that Davis operated in.
And then does he tell you what his role is in the south side part of Compton as it relates to drug trafficking?
When you say he, you're referring to
Mr. Davis, sorry.
That Mr. Davis had that side of Compton handled as far as the drugs.
And did he talk to you about who handled the north side of Compton?
Yes, he did. It was an individual who was a former Compton PD officer by the name of Reggie Wright Jr.
I'm going to drop down a little bit here to the part where he talks to you about both him and Mr. Blackman being major suppliers in the Jordan Downs housing project in Watts.
That's correct.
And then he begins to talk to you about the start of Death Row Records.
Yeah. Again, that was all part of the, overall investigations that we were looking at as far as the gang activity and things of that nature. And he mentioned there was an individual by the name of Harry O that provided money to start the Death Row Records. Also, what's his name? I believe Patrick Johnson provided approximately $80,000. Actually told Davis to give $80,000 that money that Davis owed to Johnson from previous gang transactions to Johnson's girlfriend, so that money could be used to start Death Row Records.
And he also explains Marion Suge Knight's role and his connection to the Blood gang members.
Yes, he did. He said that Marion Knight had gained control of the North Compton drug trade, and that he was associated with a bunch of the Blood Street gang members, like the Mob Pyrus and such. And they were, getting, the Knight was getting them in and out of, getting them out of jail, bailing them out, and they would cooperate with Knight.
And basically, when Knight goes to prison, he tells you Reggie Wright kind of takes over.
Yeah, Reggie Wright Jr. took over the organization after Suge Knight was arrested.
You already mentioned Harry O, but Davis claims to actually be involved in the delivery of some of the money associated with the startup of Death Row Records.
Yes.
Jump down. I'm going to start. You see at the top there. You ask him about his prior relationship with Mr. Knight prior to the murder of Tupac Shakur. You see that paragraph there?
Yeah. I mean, Davis said that he told us that he never had any issues with Suge Knight or any of those individuals prior to the incident in Vegas with the killing of Mr. Shakur.
And Mr. Davis goes on, and I'm going to skip down just a little bit, but he basically accuses two Compton Police Department officers, Sergeant Reynolds and Lieutenant Reggie Wright Sr., the father of Reggie Wright Jr., as basically being corrupt officers.
Yes. Yeah. That Reggie Wright Sr. was a lieutenant with Compton Police Department, and then Reggie Wright Jr. was a former officer with the police department. He had then started a company called Right Way Security, and then he was working with Suge Knight and Blood, doing security, although some claimed it wasn't on an official capacity, for Death Row Records, looking at their parties and such and things like that. And they would right-way security, they would employ Compton PD officers and things of that nature to conduct their business for Mr. Knight.
And he also mentions Omar Bradley. Who's Omar Bradley?
Omar Bradley's former mayor of Compton, the city of Compton. He mentions Mr. Bradley saying that he was associated with Knight and the other Blood Pirate gang members.
Skip through the part. Top of page 4, he provides information, or at least asserts that Reggie Wright Jr. is distributing drugs out of a particular location, and even names some people that are helping with that.
Yes, he stated that Reggie Wright Jr. Had a drug distribution location, an auto body shop called Untouchables, that was located at the corner of Alondra and Washington in the city of Compton. The shop was owned by an individual by the name of Melvin Hurd, and then a guy by the name of G. Ray and Jim helped distribute cocaine from the shop.
He also mentions some people that work for Reggie Wright Jr. and assisting in the cocaine distribution.
Yes, he stated that Reggie Wright Jr. had an individual by the name of Mob James, who was a member of the Mob Piru street gang, individual named Flip, who distributed out of a shop location on Compton Boulevard, and Harris. There was an individual known as Buntry, but we at the time we wrote it out as Bumptree, but we believe that actually was an individual known as Montreal or
Alton McDonald?
yes,
Buntry, B-U-N-T-R-Y?
Yes, Alton McDonald, who was the brother of Mob James, which is James McDonald. Also another individual named Trayvon Lane, who was a Mob Pirate gang member, and then Kevin Woods.
And then they can kind of read this themselves, but at some point he talks about an incident that occurs at a neighborhood mall involving a person named Marcus. What does he tell you about that?
Yeah, this was a few weeks before the murder of Tupac Shakur. This individual, Marcus, who was a South Side Crip, was at a mall by himself. Several Blood street gang members attacked him and started beating him up. Then an individual, Mr. Orlando Anderson, who was the cousin or nephew of Mr. Davis, observed what was happening and went in to help Marcus, and they beat up and fended off the other gang members.
And then he moves on to describe the incident at the MGM casino the night of Mr. Shakur's murder.
Yes, he did.
And what did he tell you?
He told us the day of the murder of Tupac Shakur that the Blood Street members, some Blood Street gang members saw at night. They saw Orlando Anderson. They attacked him because of the previous incident at the mall. After the attack, Mr. Davis, Anderson, Orlando Anderson, and their girlfriends went back up to their hotel room at the Excalibur Hotel, and he said that was it. They didn't have any involvement. They stayed in the room the rest of the night.
He tells you that the room was in Anderson's name.
Yeah, the room was in Anderson's name, that they had driven up to Vegas from the LA area in a Land Cruiser, and that they had some other associates, Corey Edwards, Kevin Davis, Terry Brown, a.k.a. Bubble Up, Big Dre, and Wynn also traveled to Las Vegas. They stayed at the MGM.
And he repeatedly denies to you knowing who killed Tupac Shakur.
Yeah, he said they didn't have any knowledge of what happened, that they weren't involved. He did later speculate that maybe it was some Compton police officers that were working for Suge Knight, and that maybe it was because he had heard that Tupac was talking about possibly leaving Death Row Records or something to that effect. But
His suggestion was that perhaps Knight, who's driving the car, had Compton police officers shoot Tupac in the car Suge's driving.
yes, something to that effect.
I'm going to keep rolling down here. He gets back at page 5 to talking about Zip. So how does he tell you? Well, he talks about Zip and how he becomes associated with the Notorious B.I.G.
Yeah, he said that back in 93, 94, Zip introduced Davis to Notorious B.I.G. at Summer Jam concert. And Davis would associate with Notorious B.I.G. when he was in L.A. area, but they never had any like drug connections or anything like that.
He tells you that he was actually at the Peterson Automotive Museum the night Mr. Wallace was killed,
That's correct, yes.
and that he saw some, at least people associated with Death Row Records, at that location.
Yeah, he told us that prior to that, the night of the murder, Davis observed some females associated with Death Row Records at the party. He said, what, like Jewel, a singer, Lachelle, a comedian for Death Row, and Davis believes that they saw Mr. Wallace at the event, and then called Blood gang members to come. Davis did say he observed Reggie Wright Jr., DJ Quick, who was a performer for Death Row, Theo, a local disc jockey, and about 10 or 11 other Treetop, Fruitown Blood gang members arrived at the event. Davis told Mr. Wallace that they were to watch, that they were there and they should watch out. And then shortly thereafter, Mr. Wallace was shot. But Davis wasn't there; he didn't see who actually shot him.
But once again, he tells you that he believes that Reggie Wright Jr. and Blood gang members are the people that killed Mr. Wallace.
Yes, he said he believed that Reggie Wright Jr. and the Blood gang members associated with him were the ones responsible for killing Notorious B.I.G. When asked who the individual was who actually killed him, based off of there was a composite drawing that was that had been provided and was kind of passed around, so we showed him that. Davis responded that the composite looked just like Reggie Wright Jr.
Do you remember the day that you arrested Mr. Davis on the indictment?
Yes.
What day was that?
I believe it was May 28th, 1998.
Was it the day before the Orlando Anderson's killed in his own shootout
Yes.
in California?
Yes.
And Mr. Davis talks to you a little bit about that without going into the specifics, but he talks to you a little bit about how Mr. Anderson wound up dying.
Yes, he did.
And thereafter, and I'm not going to go through all of these, he initially denies distribution out of state, but eventually talks to you about a lot of different locations engaged in distributing cocaine.
Yeah, I mean, we asked him to discuss all the individuals out of state who he supplied cocaine to and all the local individuals he supplied and distributed to. He initially said that he hadn't distributed out of state to anyone or knew of anyone who did it within the last 3 years, but then he went through and we started asking about specific individuals, and he would provide more details and information about who he had supplied and what he had supplied and sort of the details.
One of the people he talks about is Primo.
Yes. Primo was an individual that he bought cocaine from, like his supplier of kilos of cocaine, anywhere from 11,500 to 12,500 a kilogram. Primo fronted Davis one point at like 200 kilos of cocaine at a time, and then Davis would go out and sell it and then pay Primo back.
He also mentions Corey Edwards getting drugs from Mr. Davis and being out in Ohio and distributing cocaine in Ohio.
Yes, Davis said that at that time, back when we were interviewing him in '98, up until about 3 years prior, that he was supplying Corey Edwards, who was selling cocaine all over Ohio. But I guess Edwards got into, he said at one point Edwards got into some trouble with his Cleveland drug contact, and that individual started coming out to acquire cocaine directly from Davis. That was an individual named Bubs who resided in Cleveland.
Eventually, he describes how Primo goes back to Colombia and he gets a new supplier by the name of Samuel Lopez. Primo, I guess, departed the U.S., so we had to start selling cocaine in smaller quantities, and he came across a supplier by the name of Samuel Lopez, whose brother was actually in federal custody. Then Davis had heard that Samuel Lopez went back to Mexico after the FBI attempted to arrest him. And I guess there was a younger brother, or another Lopez, George Lopez, used to answer the phone for Samuel Lopez at the time. And I'm not going to go into this, but there was a discussion of someone named Dupree, but that guy's full name was Azel Dupree Hall III, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
He talks specifically about the phone calls that you were playing for him, that you had captured him on the wire.
That's correct.
At the very end, he denies that he's the leader of the South Side Crips and claims Darnell Brim is actually the leader of the gang.
Yes, he's even though he had said that he was large scale, basically a drug trafficker on that south side of Compton, that Darnell Brim was actually the head of the gang, if you will.
Okay. Now I want to move on. Shortly after that conversation that you had with Mr. Davis, did he enter a guilty plea to some charges and get sentenced to 70 months in federal prison?
Yes, he did.
That's a little less than 6 years. So he got some benefit from talking to you from what the...
Yeah, I don't know if it was 70 months. It might have been 77 months, 70 or 77 months. I don't recall specifically.
Judge, I have in my hand, it says it's admitted, but I don't remember offering it, a certified copy of the indictment, the plea, and the judgments of conviction in United States District Court for the Central District of California, case CR-98537, evincing his...
I have the parties approach. All right, that will be, apparently was admitted as 75, but it will be admitted formally as 75. Additionally, ladies and gentlemen, you have heard and will continue to hear testimony regarding drug trafficking, conspiracy, gang affiliation, as well as a federal conviction of Mr. Davis's. These are not offered to show that Mr. Davis has a propensity to commit crimes. Instead, they are offered to establish credibility of the statements made by defendant in relation to this case, as well as motive and identity. Mr. DiGiacomo, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Now, after Mr. Davis goes to federal prison...
Hang on one second. They're not offered to show propensity to commit crime, and you are not to consider them for any propensity that Mr. Davis has any propensity to commit crime. You may proceed, Mr. DiGiacomo. Sorry, I phrased that wrong.
Subsequent to Mr. Davis going to prison, do you and your partner, Todd Holliday, go to federal prison and have just a voluntary conversation with Mr. Davis?
Yes, we did. We went
Is
to
it-
the.
Is that situation different than the proffer situation?
It is in that it's a strictly voluntary interview. His attorney, the U.S. Attorney's Office, were notified of us contacting him because he's in custody. But the terms of the proffer, it's not the same as the proffer agreement. It's just a normal, regular interview.
But once again, you do promise him confidentiality during
Yes.
that conversation.
Yes, we did.
And up until the U.S. Attorney authorized you, you maintain that confidentiality.
That's correct.
I'm showing you what's been marked as state's proposed exhibit number 149. Is that the 302 that describes that particular conversation?
Yes, it is.
Move to exhibit 149.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
So admitted.
And I'm going to put that one up on the screen. Can you tell me the date that occurred?
The interview. Let's see here. April 15th, 1999.
Okay. And the report's generated on April 20th of 19.
That's correct.
Okay. You begin the conversation with him talking about Mr. Anderson and his death. Is that fair?
Yes, that's correct.
And then Mr. Davis tells you he's not aware of any motive for why blood gang members or individuals associated with death row records would have wanted to kill Anderson.
That's correct.
And then he repeats that he had nothing to do with either Tupac Shakur or Christopher Wallace's murder.
Yes, he actually, he said that himself and Mr. Orlando Anderson were not involved in the shooting death of Tupac Shakur, and as well as anybody else that he was associated with, and with Tupac or Mr. Christopher Wallace, Notorious B.I.G.
Does he speculate again as to who would have been involved in these two murders?
He said, he told us he didn't know who killed the two rap stars, but that he believed individuals from New York associated with Puffy Combs or individuals associated with Death Row Records could have killed Shakur, and that individuals associated with Death Row Records killed Mr. Wallace.
And then he talks a little bit of the gang war that occurs shortly after the murder of Tupac Shakur.
Yes. Basically, he said that there was a conflict between Davis and Mr. Marion Knight that resulted, as a result of the shootings, that the conflict, there was basically a war going on between South Side Compton Crips and Compton Blood Pyro Gang members, stemming from the mall altercation with Marcus Nunn and Orlando Anderson and other members of Southside Compton Crips, along with the Compton Blood gang members.
And he claims the reason that people believe that Orlando Anderson is the killer is that he asserts the Compton police is telling people that.
That's correct. He made comments that he believed that Compton PD members were putting out rumors that Orlando Anderson and them were involved.
Do you confront him about Mr. Anderson, the attack, and him being upset about that particular attack?
Well, I mean, we asked him about that, about the whole escalation of incidents because of the gang activity. They had the incident at the mall, then at the MGM Grand, then obviously the shooting of Tupac and things of that nature. Mr. Davis said that Davis and Anderson were upset after the casino's attack on Anderson, but they weren't going to strike back with so many police officers around that they would have struck back once they returned to Compton.
So he indicates to you that he's angry enough to do it. It's just he planned on doing it back in Compton, which instead of in Las Vegas.
Yeah, if they were, apparently it was because of police presence in the area, something of that nature.
I'm not going to go through all the rest of this. The jury can read sort of the rest of this. Let me just check the very bottom. Well, thank you, Agent. That completes my questions.
Okay. Mr. Samp, cross-examination.
Thank you, Honor. It's no longer special agent, or it's still special agent?
Either way is fine.
All right. We'll stick with Special Agent Lee.
Okay.
All right. Now, sir, fair to say, working for the FBI would have been something of an honor, I would imagine, working for
Yes,
an organization like that.
Yes.
Fair to say, of course, that working for the FBI, I would imagine that other people would consider that to be the creme de la creme of investigation throughout our entire country.
Yeah, some people would consider that, yes.
You put on seminars for law enforcement agencies throughout the country to help them with their investigative efforts, to help them become better police officers and detectives, fair?
You're talking about me specifically?
No.
or-
Well, you as the FBI.
Oh, okay, yes, yes.
And with regard to that, have you ever gone to Compton Police Department to learn how they do their investigative techniques, make yourself or your agency a better agency, or yourself as a better special agent?
I'm sorry, could you repeat?
Have you ever gone to Compton Police Department to see how they do their investigations to become a better agent yourself?
No, I did not.
All right. And once again, with regards to what you do as the FBI, you're very specific in your task, right? Your task is whenever there's a violation of federal law, for instance, you're the agency that would be tasked.
I'm sorry.
That's right.
Yeah.
With regards to federal law, if there's a violation of federal law, you're the agency that typically would be tasked with the investigation, right?
Correct.
Now, we talk a little bit about the 302s in this case. And the 302, just for the jury's edification, when you say it's a sort of a means, it's really just a piece of paper and a pen, right?
That's a report.
Right. And so you are writing out what your impressions or recollection was of a specific event or time, right?
Correct.
So if you're sitting in a room and we're having a conversation, you would note in your report who's in the room and what your impressions were of what was said and who said what, right?
Correct.
Now, of course, juries here would be curious. You know, we have recorders now, back in 1996, 1998 in this case. Recorders were available to the FBI, but of course that's not how you do your job.
The use of recordings for the FBI they were not standard policy and procedure for the FBI at that period of time.
Yeah, and you've retired since, what, 5 years ago?
Yes.
During that time period, has it changed in terms of that policy with the FBI?
During the time period that I've been retired,
Right, no, up until the time that you retired. Has the policy changed?
the standard procedure is no, not to record.
Right, and so as a result of that, any recording that's done is typically not what the FBI does, right? You still focus on pen to paper recollection onto a 302.
Yes.
Okay. And so in terms of how you do it, the 302s that we read, or at least saw put into the record, is the work that you recall, your partner recalls during the course of an investigation.
Of that event, yes.
Okay. Now, in terms of the task force here, we talked a little about the task force project, Safe Street. Is that what it was? Yes?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury a little bit of what that project was about?
The Safe Streets Task Force.
Yes.
So it's a compilation of multi-agencies directed to address gang activity within specific areas. So the Safe Streets Task Force initiative is a national initiative. But then there are fundings and directives that are sent to specific areas to address areas of high crime committed by gang activity.
Okay, and I would imagine gang activity would include violent crimes
Correct.
as well as, say, in this case, drug dealing,
Drug trafficking, yes.
as long as it's associated with gangs.
Yes, primarily so, yeah.
Because, of course, you do have the DEA that also runs their own investigations as well.
DEA, ATF,
Yeah.
we work with all.
Now, in terms of your, about this task force, can you tell us at the time when you were operating on it, who was on the task force?
Oh, I mean, there were several agencies in terms of specific agencies.
Well, just in terms of your working with other people, do you recall at all who it was that was working on the task force with you at that time?
Well, there were members of Los Angeles PD. We've had, I believe there was ATF. So there was multiple aspects of the task force. So different squads had different elements working depending on what cities they were in. So we would have Inglewood PD, Compton PD, LA County Sheriffs, LAPD, DEA, ATF. I believe we even had postal inspectors that might be involved. There's just a myriad of different agencies.
Sure. Can you tell us who from the Compton Police Department was part of your task force?
Our specific task force, the squad that I was on with Mr. Holliday, we did not have an element from Compton PD.
Why was that?
Because we were working in an area that was in Watts, in South Central Los Angeles, so we had LAPD elements, LA County Sheriffs.
So one of the things that we saw today was that one of the individuals that potentially was somebody of interest, I would imagine to you, was a police officer from Compton by the name of Reggie Wright Jr.
Well, he was a former police officer. There was Reggie Wright Sr., who was his father.
Okay, so your work in Inglewood and this other area, I would assume that that information with regards to Reggie Wright Jr. would have been sent to whoever it is that was working that particular area of LA?
Or of Compton. There was a different squad that was working in Compton, yes.
Can you tell us who that squad was?
What do you,
Who was in that squad?
the agents, or,
Yeah.
to be honest, I don't, well, I mean, some of the agents I recall.
Do you know who that you can recall that was there?
At that specific time, I'm not sure. There was an agent, Elliott.
Michael Elliott?
Yeah, he worked down there, yes.
And I don't want to strain you a little bit here.
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah.
So and the reason,
For clarification, because over that time period, agents will change squads and things of that nature. Like I left the gang task force in 2003, and squads would move and change objectives. So who was working at that specific time? There may have been somebody at one period and then it changed or whatever over the course of time.
and would it be fair to say, of course, that something like this, if you really need this information, you would refer to a 302, to refresh your recollection if you had
Yes.
it? Okay. Now, in addition to that, though, in terms of your role here, there was a proffer session that was conducted with my client, with Mr. Davis.
Yes.
And that proffer was set for July 16, 1998. That's the exhibit, I don't know, I think it's that one right there. That's correct. Up in the top right-hand corner, do you see the date?
That was the date of the report.
Right, so it'd be dated
It was
July
actually
16th.
July 14th. It was the
Oh,
date.
July. Okay, so even though the date says 16th on this, it would be the 14th?
Yes, well, so there's a little bit like, the data, the 16th is the date of the report. Down at the bottom where it says 7/14/98, that's the date of the actual activity.
Okay. And you're meeting with Mr. Davis, and specifically, you're meeting with him in terms of under the task force, which was gangs and whatever they're doing that's crime related to gangs. Is that what we're doing at this point under the Safe Street Task Force?
Yes.
Okay. And so when you meet with Mr. Davis, there was an understanding at that particular point that, hey, whatever you're going to tell us, we're not going to prosecute you for? Is that what was happening on that date?
Under the proffer agreement, yes.
Okay. And that proffer agreement, of course, does require the approval of the United States Attorney's Office that would be responsible for that area, right?
Yes.
And in this case, that person would have been Assistant United States Attorney Michael Terrell.
Correct.
Was he present for that meeting?
Yes, he was.
Okay, so it's you, your partner, another FBI agent, as well as Special Agent Michael Terrell.
Assistant United States Attorney, Mike.
I'm sorry, Assistant United States Attorney Michael Terrell. And in that meeting, there was an understanding between Mr. Davis and his attorney that whatever was going to be said was not going to be used against them.
Unless he came out and testified and said something that was contradictory to what he said in the proffer agreement, yes.
Sure. Now, once again, we're talking about the federal government here, right? So was there an actual proffer that was signed by the parties indicating the understanding that you're telling us right now in terms of what was the terms of the agreement?
My recollection is that there is, but that's maintained by the United States Attorney's Office.
Okay. And since we're talking about that particular proffer here today, fair to say that would be relevant information that we should be considering?
Could you
Objection
repeat that?
to the form of the question calls for a legal conclusion.
Okay, sustained if you would rephrase.
So I want to make sure I'm clear here. We are talking about a proffer. You're telling us that there is an actual writing, a contract of some sort between yourself and Mr. Davis with regards to that proffer. Do you have a copy of it here today?
That's not between myself and Mr. Davis. It was between Mr. Davis and the United States Attorney's Office.
Okay. And once again, do you have a copy of that here today?
No, I do not.
Now, in terms of your understanding of this agreement, Mr. Davis gives an agreement, and in the agreement, I'm assuming, the idea behind it is that he has to give you truthful information, right?
Correct.
And if there's no truthful information, then he's exposing himself to a potential crime in which he's now freely admitted to it, right?
I'm not sure I understand the question that
So-
you're asking.
Here, I don't want to break it down for myself because maybe I don't understand. So a proffer agreement promises the person you're interviewing that we're not going to prosecute you for what you're telling us.
Right.
If the person's lying and you catch them lying, then technically the proffer doesn't count anymore because they violated their terms of the agreement. Is that how that goes?
If they lie during the agreement
During the
or
proffer?
during the proffer session.
Right.
So that doesn't necessarily, the benefit is for consideration for plea bargaining and sentencing consideration. So if the individual who is being interviewed during the proffer session shows a lack of candor, lies, and things of that nature, then the consideration for a plea bargain, plea agreement, will be considered by the United States Attorney's Office and what they will offer to that defendant. As far as using it against them, it's still the proffer agreement terms as far as using that information against them in that case in chief on that charge, we would still not use it. Does that make sense?
Sure. I just want to make sure it makes sense.
Right, okay. So one of the things about the proffer agreement is it's, as I said earlier, was to set up it's the beginning of a sort of plea negotiation period. So we go to Mr. Davis, we say, you come in, you tell us the truth, we won't use it against you in this case or whatever, regardless of what you say, and the United States Attorney's Office will take that information, determine how useful, how valuable it is. For example, not in this case, not necessarily in this case, we've had individuals who provide information and then they actually go on to become cooperating witnesses for us. They're willing to testify in case against other co-defendants and things of that nature. All of that gets utilized in determining the sentencing for that person and for reducing their sentence on that federal charge. As you're suggesting, if an individual comes in and they're not truthful, they're providing us information that we know is factually inaccurate based on our other investigations, surveillance, wiretaps, and things of that nature, and statements from other witnesses, we would report that to the United States Attorney's Office, and they would take that as far as the sentencing that they would offer for the plea agreement. They would say, well, your client hasn't been forthright and candor. We're not going to reduce it at all.
Did you do that in this case? Was there any recommendation from you or your partner back to the United States Attorney's office, and specifically to AUSA Michael Terrell, that said, hey, Mr. Davis is not being forthright and truthful with regards to his July 14, 1998 statement?
I did not specifically do that. Whether or not Mr. Holliday did, I'm not aware.
Now, let me ask you this then. So, he gives a statement, and I want to make sure we're clear. You listen to what Mr. Davis says. Did you ever verify the information in here specifically about allegations of Tupac Shakur's murder?
Verify in terms of what?
Well, for instance, in the document that would have been the year 302, that's dated as of July 14, 1998, there's an indication here, for instance, that at the Las Vegas casino, Davis's girlfriend, and Anderson's girlfriend walked or went up to their hotel room at the Excalibur Casino. Now, once again, this is 1998. The death of Tupac Shakur was in September of 1996.
Right.
Did you ever verify that information with Las Vegas to see if either, and in this case, what the 302 indicates is that the room was in Anderson's name. Did you verify that to be true?
I did not specifically know.
Okay. And then with regards to the way in which he describes, Mr. Davis, how they got to Las Vegas, he says in here that they drove to Las Vegas in a Land Cruiser. Any particular reason? Did he have a Land Cruiser? Was there any verification of that information?
I did not verify that.
Now, in addition to that, he had indicated that Corey Edwards, Kevin Davis, Terry Brown, and Big Dre, or AKA Big Dre and Wynn had also traveled to Las Vegas. Did you ever verify if any of those individuals went to Las Vegas?
No, I did not.
And whether or not they stayed at the MGM Casino?
No, I did not.
Okay, so once again, for the jury's edification, shooting takes place in September of 1996. You're getting this information from Mr. Davis on July 1998, right?
Yes.
About a year and,
Right.
8 months, 9 months, something like that. Now, in addition to that, he had made mention, at least with that first interview, that he believed that Compton police officers had been the ones to have committed that particular act, the crime in Las Vegas, in terms of the shooting of Tupac Shakur.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
And once again, that's just for the
I'm sorry.
record.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
And with regards to that, though, sir, did you ever look into the possibility that Compton police officers may have been involved in the shooting of Tupac Shakur?
I did not specifically know.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now World.